Good morning, everyone. This is Nikachu, Merfolk Master, and here we are with day 130 of Coffee and MTG, the morning talk show where we talk all things Magic the Gathering. You better believe that the first half of this show we do Q&A, and then the second half of the show we do deck list review. So if you have a deck list that you want to submit, you want to get some feedback on, you better believe you can submit it here, and both myself and the community can give you that feedback, how to improve the mana base, the win condition, what to do to prepare for the current metagame. You better bring it on and we'll be prepared. So thank you very much, everyone who shows up every single day. Let's start it off brewing the coffee and then brewing up the Magic conversation and the deck list. And as you can see, Nikachu Studios has changed. We're in a completely... I hope I sound fine. Let me know your thoughts. What does this look like? What does it say? Well, I mean, it looks dark. I can improve these things, but only one day at a time. We've now moved into the living room. I'm actually not too far away from... I'm just to the right of the... I can't show it to you very well right here, but the what's it called? The discussion fireplace or whatever, where I make all my discussion videos. So we're sort of here in the we've changed location, basically. The studio has changed. And the background, it's a little rough. It's a little rough right now because a lot of stuff had to move, displaced a lot of things. A lot of dust was discovered. But it's going to look beautiful in the next few days. It's going to look beautiful. So are we in the Earth 2 portion of this stream's history? I don't get it. There's some sort of reference that I'm missing here. Morning, Fish Fam and Nikachu. It's not about being first. It's about showing up. That's right. That's right. I'm a little late here today. I'm very late. There's some technical difficulties, particularly with the light. I know I don't look that bright here, and like the background was washing me out, so I had to put the curtains on. But in time, we're going to have it all figured out. It's going to look beautiful. It's just a little rough. We just made a move, and also not to mention daylight savings time is screwing with my brain. I think I didn't get very good sleep, or I've had awkward sleep for the last few days, and everyone's blaming daylight savings time. To be honest, that's not what it is for me. But I'm going to just jump on the bandwagon and say it was daylight savings time's fault. It was daylight savings time. I'm just going to quickly change the podcast. Go from podcast to Magic the Gathering. And thank you very much, everyone, for showing up today. Hello, Fish Fan Balada. I bought into those zombies and vampires decks you played. It was a whole $20 to get the missing pieces. Well, you're not going to be happy for the black-white vampire deck that I have in store. Oh, where is that vampire deck? I don't have it available right now, but I've got... I'm brewing up black-white vampires. I'm taking everything that I learned during those leagues, and I think I can make a much more lethal vampire deck in the black-white colors, taking the curve down and actually including Luris of the Dream Den. Let's see. Let's share. So, for example, what is the vampire? What is the 2-mana vampire? I can't remember. Yeah, I have it on Discord, but I don't know if I want to dig that up. Okay, hold on. I have it in Discord. Is it easy to share? It's not easy to share everything. Okay, I got this. Now how do I share this with the world? Ooh, copy link. This might work. This might work. All right. Boom. All right. So here's what is probably going to be the next evolution to my vampire deck. I can briefly go over it with everyone. Everyone seems to be very excited about vampires for some reason. That 5-0 was really, really lucky. I mean, if you look at our first opponent, they were basically a super pony. They helped us. It felt like they were playing the deck just like I was playing. I don't know what there was some deck. I can't remember. I botched it up so badly. Maybe it was my mono blue deck. Anyway, I played so terrible. So fortunately, my opponent, the Prowess opponent, helped me a lot. And I think just having Ether Vial and Cavernous Souls is good enough to beat any Uro deck. And we played 3 Uro decks. So Now, that being said, there are benefits to this deck, and I hope I'm pushing it in the right direction. So there was a lot of things that definitely did work. Seer worked. Knight of the Ebon Legion is okay. I think Knight of the Ebon Legion could even be better in some late game scenario. Maybe against Jund, where I top deck a random threat and it's good. And you know what? Knight of the Ebon Legion can count as like basically a removal spell, because when you activate it, it gets Death Touch. But the point is, I want to bring the curve down. Like, all the 3-drops were like really clunky. They're just ridiculously clunky and unnecessary. So let's bring the curve down. Legion Lieutenant is a 2-mana lord, and for that reason, I think it actually deserves a really good spot in the deck, because like I think having a lord is good, but I don't want to spend 3 mana on Captivating Vampire. I think that's just way too much. Now, the only card I'm not sure about is Cruel Celebrant, which is black and white. Whenever Cruel Celebrant or another creature or planeswalker you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. It's what made Zombies so good is that it didn't cost you anything to get your death triggers, and I think that's the value of Zombies, is that you can get value out of the deck when things die. And let's be serious, Modern is just full of cards that destroy. Like it's so much removal in Modern. So Cruel Celebrant, I think, might be an interesting addition, but could be replaceable. Now, the point I want to bring the curve down so much is then we get to use Lurrus, and Lurrus is, of course, just a massive card advantage engine. Yeah, we could, assuming our opponent has no removal, we could play Lurrus and then like play Gatekeeper of the Malakir and make our opponent sack creatures, and we could sack the Gatekeeper to keep replaying Gatekeeper of Malakir from the graveyard. It seems amazing. And because we have white, we have access to Auriok Champion, which hopefully hoses prowess. And one card I would love, I don't think I have the mana base, to be honest, for this card, but I think Smallpox looks like relatively good in an Ether Vial deck. Turn 1 Vial, turn 2 Smallpox, eat your creature, destroy your land. It's got to be backbreaking. You haven't put any creature in play yet, because you just put an Ether Vial in play, right? You just put Ether Vial in play. So I think Smallpox is a very interesting addition in this deck. I don't know, like maybe the Urborg helps my mana, because Cavernous Souls and Mutavault don't contribute to casting Smallpox. So, and I'm have Smallpox because I think it's a lethal way of dealing with Eldrazi Tron, Amulet. I think this is an underplayed card, and I think this deck can utilize it relatively well. I mean, I could even, in some scenario, have Bloodghast in place, play Smallpox, sack the Bloodghast, get Bloodghast back from the battle, the graveyard back to the battlefield. So this is, I'm very interested in playing this, and this is my next evolution for vampires. Black, white vampires. Let's take the clunk out and just go all in on what. Oh yeah, and one more thing, Smuggler's Copter. I'm wondering, maybe Zombies should play Smuggler's Copter. Like, we were talking about how Zombies has nothing to do at 2 mana. Just play Smuggler's Copter. It's like a fantastic card. You know, any of your 1-drops activated, and it deals a really good chunk of damage, and it just digs for gas. Smuggler's Copter definitely fits this deck, and still can be played with Lurrus. So anyway, if you're excited for vampires, I'm definitely going to explore a little bit more with vampires in this list. And yeah, we're going to see what happens. Vampire fam is very excited. How excited are, well, how interested are you in me playtesting other tribes? Like, no one deeply explores zombies. No one deeply explores vampires. I can definitely see some incentive. Like, when I played zombies, it's like, I don't even care if you remove my creatures, because they just come back, or they get some trigger or something, and like the format is just so full of removal that there are a big advantage of going in that direction. Of course, Black still uses Thoughtseize and other controlling cards. They got the stuff. They have Nihil Spellbomb. They have good Graveyard Hate. They can hold their own. Hello, Ancorian Hero. Good morning, Lord Magicus. And does it sound good? I'm hoping it sounds even better than it usually does, because I'm holding the microphone almost directly to my face. We're trying that out today. We're trying that out today, and hopefully more into the future. The downside is I'm a very loud person, so it might be peaking all over the place. But give me your feedback, because whatever, this is a new, it's just sort of, it's like the same equipment, but it's a new setup, basically. Good morning, Realny. Daylight savings time is bullshit, always has been. Usually I don't care, but actually I'm trying to go to sleep at the same time every night, so now it actually matters. So Blada already has the pieces to the black-white version. 'Tis the season. season. Hey everyone, nice to see you brew some vampire deck again. A lot of people liked it. Like, a lot of people were really excited that I was playing. Like, there are these. Makes me wonder, could a giant vampire community like come about if someone was just dedicated to vampires like I was dedicated to Merfolk? Could the same thing be said about zombies? Like, they've got the pieces. They've got the pieces. Someone just has to put it together and make sure it's like curated for the metagame, for the current metagame. Like, I could say confidently, one card that I was promoting all the time was this, which one? The Sorin. Impurus Bloodlord. By the way, super fantastic card. Maybe is better than I think it is right now. There are a lot of creature-based decks that have toughness 3 or less. I think Lightning Helix is well positioned right now. But it was really clunky when we were playing it. And you know what? There's so many Uro decks that just don't care about this. And Uro decks are like a pretty large percentage of the metagame. And now like Mana Traders has a tier that allows you to like borrow an Uro deck because it's so expensive that you're going to see more Uro. Just grossly underperformed. And was clunky, very clunky, grossly underperformed. But I believe that this card is still good, just not super well positioned right now. But I'm not certain about that. I know there's a lot of matchups where this is just super trash. Not good against Death Shadow. Might be good against Prowess. Definitely not good against any of the Uro or Omnath decks. What do I want to? What was I going to say? But like, the point is, vampires just and zombies included just needs to be adapted to the current metagame. I think there's a lot of good cards in both those archetypes, but what is the best 75 for right now? Someone needs to know, and then maybe a community can be built out of that. Echoing Truth seems great in the meta right now. It bounces Vengevine against spells, shadows, and prowess creatures. Bounce and piece of Heliod combo, and bounce Titan once the escape. I'm not thrilled with that evaluation. I think it is accurate that if you use Echoing Truth against all spells, that's relatively effective, although they're going to still have a few more turns to go because they can shuffle. There's a card in their deck that shuffles 3 cards from their graveyard back to their library. So then they can just start casting Vengevines the very next turn, assuming they have the mana, which they probably do, and then start attacking you, and they might be able to still kill you anyway. But whatever, I think that's the best example. But against Shadow and Prowess creatures, the problem is that Echoing Truth costs 2 mana. Okay, let's talk Prowess for a second. Let's talk in the perspective of a Prowess deck. Let's get Soul Scar Mage up here. Okay, let's say you're holding up 2 mana. You have 2 mana up, and now a Prowess deck has a decision. Do I like rattle off 1,000,000 spells to make my Prowess creature large? Or do I just attack as a 1/2 creature and then see what my opponent does? And frankly, they're just going to attack. If you have mana up, they can suspect you have interaction. Like 2 mana is a lot of mana in Modern. So if you have 2 mana up, it doesn't matter what like they can just assume you've got something, like even Dismember or something. Or Brazen Borrowers, Petty Theft, doesn't matter. They won't go all in with their creature. So what they ended up doing is they attack for 1. You're going to be like, okay, I just passed priority. Okay, you take 1, and then they play, I don't know, light up the stage, start casting more creatures, and all of a sudden this Echoing Truth isn't doing so much. And then let's say the other scenario, they attack with the Soul Scar Mage. Okay, you bounce it with Echoing Truth. All right, then they just play it for 1, and then you didn't really get anywhere. So you lost tempo and a card out of that because you spent 2 mana to bounce this thing. They just replayed it for 1. You're down a card, and they're not down anything. And then you're still in the same situation next turn, and you haven't been tapping out, putting any pressure on the battlefield because you held up this 2 mana for Echoing Truth. So that's why I think Echoing Truth is overrated in these scenarios, because it's like you would have to nail 2 creatures at this. Like if you have mana open, they're going to play around it. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. If they go all in, that's great, but you can't expect good players to do that. So at a competitive level, I can't expect that to be a worthwhile strategy. Same thing goes with like shadow creatures. Again, like Death Shadow is 1 mana, Echoing Truth is 2. So you would need to be very lucky to. I mean, if you can take a hit from Death Shadow, and there's multiple out there, and you can bounce them at end of turn, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. However, you're not putting anything on the battlefield in the replacement. Like, I prefer to have Harbinger of the Tides in that situation where you're bouncing something, putting pressure on the battlefield, because you tied up your mana anyway, so you're down a turn to put them down a turn. I hope that made some sense. Or bounce a piece of the Heliod combo. Bouncing a piece of the Heliod combo is just as good as is worse than countering it. So if you bounce a piece of the Heliod combo, it's coming back next turn. What's your answer? Can you deal lethal? You might as well have had a counterspell so that it was a permanent answer to the problem instead of just temporarily dealing with it. And lastly, bounce Titan when it's escaped. That they drew a card and gained life and got a land when they cast it. Then they escaped it. They drew a land. They drew a card, played a land, gained 3 life. And then when you bounce it, they just get to do it all over again. It's like, okay, it's better than nothing, but you're still at massive card disadvantage. And hopefully you're like way ahead anyway to compensate for that. So I don't actually look. I'm not thrilled with Echoing Truth. Let's just say that I'm not thrilled with Echoing Truth in the metagame. I stand by it. That card is very, very clunky. I'll give Echoing Truth this. Field of the Dead is pretty popular, and it's played in multiple decks. And it would be convenient to bounce the tokens, even though that can get undermined too, because the token that you target can be killed by your opponent, assuming they have removal. Like Titan decks don't have removal, not much anyway. So you can bounce all the zombies. They can make it a zombie army. It doesn't matter. You bounce them all back to their hands. So Field of the Dead is actually relatively it's very popular. I don't know if it's positioned, but it's popular, and therefore Echoing Truth actually can do something about it. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Because I've been 2 thumbs down. If you've been watching this channel for a very long time, I've been like 2 thumbs down on Echoing Truth my entire life. How did it start? There came a point where Echoing Truth was in like the Merfolk sideboard for one reason. Snaring Bridge. We have to deal with that Ensnaring Bridge. We have to deal with that damn thing. But here's the but like Echoing Truth otherwise is like, it's card disadvantage and it's clunky. That's why I really love Brazen Borrower, because I can bounce things and I still get a creature out of it in the long run. So Echoing Truth, my path with Echoing Truth is first I replaced this thing, I think, with Cryptic Command. Was it Cryptic Command first? No, maybe it was Venser. I realized, okay, I'm bouncing this Ensnaring Bridge mostly on turns 4, 5, 6, whatever. I have the mana by then. Let's play with Venser. And also it has other like good abilities. You can bounce those Death Shadows, right? And put a body on the battlefield at the same time. I can also like return a Supreme Verdict back to my opponent's hand. Also sort of acts like a pseudo counterspell against some combo decks. I started playing with Venser. And then I moved to Cryptic Command. Like the main thing is that when I was bouncing on the Ensnaring Bridge, it was always like somewhat late in the game, so you generally have the mana for Cryptic Command at that time, but it has other utility in addition to that. Cryptic Command can do anything. It can tap all my opponent's creatures down. Who needs Spreading Seas? I was thinking of playing this just recently. I don't know if it's well positioned, but like I'm pretty down on Spreading Seas. I don't really like Spreading Seas right now. Maybe I can play Cryptic Command instead. Maybe we should do that today. Maybe today we're going to play with Cryptic Merfolk. I haven't done that in a very long time. But I was trying to find some utility outside. Like, because the only good thing about Echoing Truth is it can bounce multiples at the same time. But I find that's too situational. And the multiples I'm bouncing these days are so mana efficient anyway that I don't feel like I'm completely blowing my opponent out on tempo. Okay, I'm super far behind on the chat. I think there's a Shaman tribal deck that could be neat to look at. It's possible. I feel like the problem with those other tribes is that they have decent gimmicks and clocks but lack any meaningful interaction. But it's got to be discovered. Sounds really good. Okay, so I think people are replying. Can we call it the Nikachu vampire deck? Sure. Name whatever you want after me. Okay, what are Millennial Jund? Okay, we're gonna play Millennial Jund on Wednesday for sure. Your words about cryptic are literally what I said while recording yesterday. Exactly. Maybe cryptic is good right now because I really don't like I don't like spreading seas, but at the same time, if you play in leagues, there's just so many random decks that spreading seas is still good. Like all the decks that you need to beat to win a tournament. Like I'm looking at the list of every single deck that people were playing in a PTQ recently, and they're like spreading seas is garbage against all of them. But if you go into a league, I mean, unless you face an Uro pile, you play against like basically anything else than the top decks. Or there's a lot of non-top decks in leagues right now, and spreading seas is still useful against them. Really love aristocrats and death and taxes so much. I'm wondering if I can make a build that do both of those things really well. It's possible. And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so. Echoing Truth is the ultimate pony wrangler. I have Echoing Truth in ad nauseum, but you only need to buy one turn in that deck. Yeah, you can, and you'd be interested in Echoing Truth because you might want to bounce multiple copies of a particular permanent that's shutting you down. You're not interested in the card advantage because when you play Echoing Truth, it's with the sole purpose of like winning the game next turn, and you want it to be as cheap as possible. Yeah, it costs mana. It just costs mana. Good morning, Paint Seraph. It's better to curve out, but that Sorin is solid sideboard card versus aggro. It is very good. I still think that Sorin card is very good. It's just some portion of the metagame right now is very poor. Creatures having effects built in are definitely making lots of instant sorceries. Antiquated. I'm definitely not pronouncing this properly. Isn't there some value in protecting your own creatures against removal, or just borrower and force negation is more flexible? Again, force negation is card disadvantage pending the situation. If you have a really big board state and you're threatening to kill your opponent in like 1 or 2 turns, you might want to protect it with force negation. I mean, of course, you're going to play force negation anyway in your 75 because it's just mandatory, more or less. But ideally, you just replace creatures with new creatures, or play creatures that you don't feel so bad about dying. Like in zombies, they don't care about their creatures dying. They don't care at all. Yeah, Shaman's deck is on MTG Goldfish, but is it competitive is the question. 5-color Elementals is still my favorite tribe. When it works, so it's so overwhelming. Oh yeah, that deck just steamrolls people. That was... I guess we could say that deck was taken over the top with Lightning Skelemental. For the most part, this card is just ball lightning. I mean, you know what? Well, getting the opponent to discard 2 cards is pretty backbreaking too. This might be an underplayed card in Modern right now. It's basically 3 mana. Actually, how different is it from Blightning? Blightning, black, red, colorless, deals 3 damage to target player. That player discards 2 cards. Maybe this card is underrated, right? Like, all this is slightly more damage. Trample, haste. This is guaranteed to hit your opponent. Maybe Blightning, period, is underrated in Modern. This was a standard powerhouse at the time. It was so good. Getting your opponent to discard 2 cards is just ridiculous. Is Blightning even legal? Oh yeah, it's like it came from Shards of Alara. Maybe Lightning Skelemental just makes us realize that Blightning is an underrated card, and cards like Liliana the Veil like overshadowed a card like this. There's a lot of decks right now, I think, that like Blightning is a lot less good when it can't kill Jace the Mind Sculptor. But Jace isn't... Well, I will say it'd be convenient to kill a Planeswalker, and there are a lot of Planeswalkers right now in the metagame. Jace isn't as popular as it used to be, but, we still have Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, Teferi, Time Raveler. So if Blightning could... Yeah, it's the fact that it only targets players now. Why does it only do that? Why doesn't it target player or Planeswalker? Legit question. Which is more toxic to Modern, Lightning Elemental or Plague Engineer? Oh, the Plague Engineer, hands down. You could make an argument that Plague Engineer actually brings balance to Modern. Like, Humans was like one of the best. You could just say the best deck in Modern, and there was nothing stopping it until like Plague Engineer showed up. Well, also Hogak showed up. Totally forgot about Hogak, but you know, you get the idea. Plague Engineer was like a really good way to neuter the Humans deck, and it's still good. Still good even to this day. Humans is still pretty good even with Plague Engineer on the sideboard. They just had to adapt a little bit. General Kudro was a big benefit to that deck. General Kudro is busted. Look, a black, white, and a colorless. Other humans get +1/+1. ETB, exile cards from opponents' graveyards, and you can destroy creatures. If I build... Well, I guess I can't have too many of this card because it's legendary. You better believe I would want millions of General Kudros. That guy means serious business. Look, he's got a mustache and everything, and he's bald. More synergy with elemental decks. You can easily recur Lightning Skelemental. Well, you can easily recur Lightning Skelemental, but the cards that do it are like clunky, and there's millions of like graveyard hate in the metagame, including Cling to Dust. So good luck with that. Good luck. I wish you well with your journey. That was why it was good in Standard at the time. But still, like if people are playing Lightning Skelemental, and it's just a one-shot thing, right? Let's get Lightning Skelemental back. People are playing Lightning Skelemental more or less as like a situational Blightning. I mean, yeah, it's part of the elemental deck, but frankly, when it hits me, I think that's backbreaking. I don't like losing 2 cards. 1 card I can deal with. 2 cards is ridiculous. I think that's too much. I think that's too much. It's errated to target player or planeswalker. I think it's just errated to target player. Because this is the latest version, right? Masters 25. We had the I'm pretty sure playing these 3 damage target. Oh, this was nuts. Okay. So it can deal. We can still hit the planeswalkers. That player or planeswalker. What is Masters 25 so old that, man, time flies. I thought this was a recent enough set that they would have already had this errata on all the cards already. Well, I'll be damned. Okay, so it is. I just thought Masters 25 was like recent enough. How old is Masters 25? Old enough, I guess. Time flies. Time flies. But yeah, it was always more amusing to Bloodbraid Elf, Cascade into it, and attack Jace and kill it after the uptick. Now that is a... Now, can I get behind that? Can I get behind Bloodbraid Elf into Blightning in Modern? Maybe. Oops. Bring me back. Lightning Skelemental always seems to show up at the worst possible time in my matches. Well, yeah, that happens. Torpor Orb? For what matchup? Oh, Torpor Orb is also good against humans, if that's what you're referring to. I feel like Skelemental is only truly busted with Thunderkin Awakener. It's a decent card, otherwise, don't get me wrong. Yeah, recurring it is fantastic if you can do that, but the cost, it makes your deck high variance. So like when you start playing with like Thunderkin Awakener. So the problem is if like let's say you fill your deck with Unearths, then Thunderkin Awakeners, etc., blah blah blah. Now what happens when you don't have Lightning Skelemental in the graveyard? What if you just have this Thunderkin Awakener and not really that much to get from the graveyard? So you make your deck sort of high variance when you have these recursion effects available, but you don't have any payoff. Now your deck, instead of being... So you can have like really powerful hands, then sometimes you have like really awkward, clunky, useless, underpowered hands, or hands that force you to mulligan so that you have a good balance of both. So that's my take on it. Yes, Lightning Skelemental gets better with these cards, but also the bad half of your deck gets worse when you draw too many of those cards and not your Lightning Skelemental. Bloodbraid Alpha actually into Lightning Skelementals is gas. Should we play Lightning Skelemental in our Jund deck? Maybe there's another way to play Jund. Maybe we just play without the hand disruption. Because I was thinking about Millennial Jund. I don't even know if Karn the Great Creator is that good anymore. So I was getting really excited about Karn the Great Creator, but I forgot that like the Skyclave Apparition just got printed, and that like just ruins everything, really. Even ruins Karn itself, because they can exile Karn. Like, how stupid is that? Good morning, Branchwalker JV. Welcome. Shout out to Brazil. Shout out to Brazilian Magic players, and also the Brazilian Among Us players. Aggro Jund and then Karn as a finisher. That's possible. I do love Karn. But this stupid Skyclave Apparition ruins everything. Just literally ruins everything. Because they can exile Karn, they can exile Ensnaring Bridge. I don't know how well it would work. Prior to Skyclave Apparition's existence, I think it would have been fantastic. So you want to play aggro Jund, basically? Well, not so aggro that it's like Death Shadow, but still like, I mean, I want to play with Karn. Okay, we'll try it. We're gonna find out what Karn can do, and if it doesn't, and if it sucks, then I might build a Bloodbraid Elf deck that all the hits are good instead of like a lot of hits are garbage. Thanks, we Brazilians really like your videos. Thank you very much, Kalingi. In the YouTube analytics, it has Brazil as number like in the top 5 of my viewership. So like Magic players just absolutely love, or sorry, Brazilians love Magic. Let me start the bandwagon for Lightning Skelemental. We need to ban it over there so we don't have to ban it over here. What? That doesn't make any sense to me. Branchwalker JV just subscribed 5 months in a row. Thank you very much for the 5 months, Branchwalker JV. Oh, by the way, you can support the channel for free with Amazon Prime, or you can do it with money. That is also quite acceptable. I will also take cash. Money is the best kind of money. Have I organized this properly? Teferi's response for the apparition. It only affects lands, though. I want this card in Modern. I hope they threw this in. This is such a good meme card. Such a good meme card. Counter target spell or ability an opponent controls that targets a land you control. If a permanent's ability is countered this way, destroy that permanent. So if you want to Flicker Wisp my land or something, or Ghost Quarter or Field of Ruin, Death and Taxes, I've got a response. Teferi's response. Maybe going full Lurrus as a companion for Millennial Jund. That's possible. That is super possible. What about lands for Merfolk? It's a play on when the U.S. went to war in Iraq. We need to fight them over there. We got to ban to the Skelemental there, so we don't have to ban them here. Aggro Jund and then Karn as a finisher. Yeah, let's get them down to 1, and then we're gonna lock them out. I need to remember the Merfolk that awakens lands. Yeah, there's some really janky, expensive Merfolk that like turns lands into creatures. World Shaper? Whenever it attacks, you may mill 3 cards. When it dies, return a land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. I think it's a different one. I think it's a blue one. Cycle Nimble Obstructionist. Nimble, I love my Nimble Obstructionist. I need Lava Dart banned to start playing this card. The moment Lava Dart gets banned, I don't know how it does, but at the moment it gets banned, Nimble Obstructionist is like going to be OP. You're going to see it in a lot of decks. It's like really well positioned even right now. 3/1 flash flying whenever. How would this be good against Oops All Spells? Can it definitely can interact with them, but I don't know if it interacts enough. Okay, maybe when they sack all their artifacts to bring that creature back from the graveyard to the battlefield, I can counter that trigger. No, does that matter? I have to think about it. Not that I'm trying to beat Oops All Spells, but like, you know, it's available. Yeah, but if Salvage Titan is cast at all, it's still going to trigger the Vengevines, isn't it? So I don't know if it actually stops the combo. So like you can stop. Let's get Salvage Titan on this. Because Vengevine triggers upon cast, not at ETB. You may sacrifice 3 artifacts rather than pay its mana cost. Yeah, so you're casting it anyway. Hold on, exile 3 artifacts from your graveyard, return Salvage Titan. Oh, I can prevent it from... Hold on, how does this work? You can sacrifice 3 artifacts rather than pay the spells. Exile 3 artifacts from your graveyard. Okay, so I can counter the thing that puts it into their hand. I can stop 1 sword. That's the problem. I can only stop 1 sword. Wow, finally something that can counter Shark Typhoon. Yeah, so I guess we just prevent it from putting it into their hand. Yeah, it actually works out. What other combo decks that it interacts with right now? Like, I think this is such an underrated card. The thing is, like, if you could play it as a creature a decent chunk of the time, that would be the most valuable. But 1 toughness creatures are just shit right now, basically. I mean, the 1 toughness creatures are almost literally... 1 toughness creatures with no benefit outside of it are just literally unplayable right now. Well, Neoform never went away. It is just lurking in the shadows. How do we interact with Neoform? I don't know how to actually. I don't know how to interact with Neoform outside of like countering 1 Grizzlebrand trigger. Yeah, we figured it out. Tails End? I'm not impressed with Tails End for Merfolk. Counter target activated, triggered. Well, I guess you know what? I mean, maybe this is not so bad. I mean, it's a cheaper Nimble Obstructionist, but I like. First up, Planeswalkers are not a big deal for Merfolk because we just kill them for the most part. We just put the creatures on the battlefield, and we turn them sideways, and we kill them. So being able to having to counter a Planeswalker is not that mandatory. But like, you know, countering triggered abilities right now it might be very well positioned right now. Shark Typhoon for Merfolk, we don't have enough mana for it. Yeah, you don't have enough to exile and cast at the same time. It counters Karn and Big Ugin. Yeah, the Planeswalkers. I don't know if they'd have more artifacts, Might Board and Belcher to have extra. We can counter 1 Belcher activation. We don't have any plan for the next one, but whatever. But what else in the metagame does countering things matter? Like countering a triggered ability? Maybe... I mentioned those 2. Yeah, they do. Oh, whatever. It was neat to think about. Counter the Uro triggers. You only want to counter 1 trigger, and that's the one that gains life and draws a card and puts a land onto the battlefield. The other one you want to resolve. You want that thing to happen. O-Stone activations. We can actually beat O-Stone relatively well just with like hopefully we've already dealt an enormous amount of damage by that point. That's a pretty weak way. Like, I think we can beat Stoneforge Mystic decks without a Stifle trigger. Can you counter? Can you Stifle? Apparently not. Apparently you cannot interact with this. This is a very like special ability. Can you Stifle the getting a companion from the sideboard? And it is literally in the rule books that it's like a very fancy special rule and activated ability, and you're not allowed to interact with it at all. That if they want to do it, that just happens. They pay 3 mana, they got a companion. Yeah, why not counter the spy itself? Whatever happened to Snapcaster in the meta? It's still around. I think the Uro decks didn't need them. Didn't need Snapcaster Mage. It wasn't as necessary, and like I noticed that they're very low on Snapcaster Mage in those Uro decks. But Snapcaster Mage still sees play, especially in the Jeskai Stoneblade deck. Love the new office setup. You're gonna love it even more when we actually spruce. I'm probably gonna have like a wall divider behind me, so like. Right now, you just see a bunch of garbage at the moment, but I'm going to hide the garbage, and it's going to look beautiful. The plan is to have, I think, how does it sound compared to normal? Do I sound better? Do I sound worse? Do I sound the same? What is everyone's opinion? I hear echo here, but then again, I hear echo in the other room as well. The last one was like pretty bad for echo. Sound pretty fine. I sound louder. Well, I sound louder because I've now positioned the microphone to be directly in front of my face. Because I sound better when the microphone is directly in front of my face. Now I understand why they do that, but I don't want it. I just don't want the microphone to look like this. I don't understand those YouTubers that are like this. Oh yeah, everyone, this is Nikachu Merfolk Master. Let's talk about Modern. Oh, by the way, this is like a video format, but I'm going to completely cover my face in the microphone because I'm like a radio personality or something. Better or worse? Also no echo. Yeah, there's actually less echo. I hear a different kind of echo for myself when I'm in the room, but then I went back to the old room and I'm like, well, there's way more echo there. Anyway, there's ways of getting through this. And Jorgiars has got the right idea. Let's get into deck list review. So deck list review. If you want to submit a deck list, use the command. Teferi's command. ! Deck review. Then give a space. And then put the URL of your deck list. And also leave any comments that you would like to give me. It would help, you know. Is this a budget deck? What is the format you're building this deck for? And also, what problems do you need? Or what feedback do you want? There's a lot of time. If you just want feedback for the sideboard, all right, I'm going to leave your main deck alone. And there was a fantastic situation where someone submitted an elf deck, and Squat Chief was like, this elf deck is not doing anything that elves is supposed to do. But the main deck ended up being amazing, and all the person wanted was some feedback how to beat Tron. But anyway, Squat Chief went 5-0 with the exact 75. No changes at all. So you never know when you have confidence in yourself. Sometimes your deck is going to be amazing. Oops, I'll leave the command here. And while we're waiting for this, I'm going to thank our sponsors, starting with themanabase.com, your home base for everything Magic the Gathering. And the Manabase is sponsored by Fusion Gaming Online. My favorite local game store, I go here a lot, deal of the week this week. Available to everyone who's watching live. Save 15% off all Zendikar Rising singles and sealed product. Wasn't that same one last week? I can't tell. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was another Zendikar thing. I feel like this is the same one. Whatever. Deal of the week. Zendikar Rising. Go for it. And we're also going to thank Mana Traders. Uh-oh. Get this out of the way. Mana Traders, the premier place to rent Magic cards online. You can get almost any single deck except for like Uro, because apparently that deck is like $1,400 and it's a little bit outside of the Mana Trader, even the top tier Mana Traders budget, which I think their top budget is like 1,250 ticks or something like that. But you can get everything else, or if you want to buy one Uro and rent the rest, that will work too. And you can support the channel by using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or you can save yourself 15%. 15%. Who doesn't like value for the first 3 months using my coupon code Nikachu? It's also the best way to like play all these other decks that we feature on this channel, which include vampires, zombies. We do everything right now. Might not be updated yet. You can have a Wilson gimmick going on. Oh, you mean this? Well, hello there. So if I'm super loud, maybe we can turn the gain down or something. Oh, I can't turn it down anymore. This is as low as it's getting. This is as low as we go. Also no echo. That's good. One of those green screen stands. You have any idea how expensive those things are? I'll show you the one that I want. Well, I'm going to go to Amazon. Just because of COVID, like everyone wants to become a streamer, and so like basically all this stuff got sold out. I want the one. Oh, this is very affordable, actually. This is not so bad. What was I looking at? Like these, this is it just pure collapsible backdrop? $30? That's not so bad. What was I panicking for? $30. I want one of those things that I can like this Elgato's green screen. $220. Oh, do I have to install this somewhere? I have nowhere to install it. I just have like the Air here. So that one's not a good one for me. That's not a good fit. But I want something like that that I can roll out and roll back in. Oh, maybe like this. Collapsible. There we go. That's what, $200. I do know what, $200 is actually reasonable. Like I was looking into this like 4 months ago and it was like $350. I'm like, what are you doing? Oh my God. Because this would be nice. I can just put this on the ground, and then when I need to, I like bring up the green screen. Not that I don't think I would use it very often. I'll tell you what the plan is. I want to have like a shelf behind me, because if I have a shelf, I can like put all my trinkets and stuff on the shelf, and you get to see a little bit of my personality. I have like all sorts of stuff that is usually on my desk table, but then if I have it on the shelf, you can see, like, I can put chess pieces. Like, chess is still a big part of my life, and all this other stuff. $350. You could get like 1.5 euros exactly. How does this stuff cost $200? It's ridiculous. So I mean, if you wanted to become a streamer during COVID, it was just a massive. It was terrible. Let's look up the Brio 4K webcam. How expensive is this right now? These are still expensive. I don't think it was 300. It was over $300 pre-COVID. I think it was around 200, 250. Well, how much is the Logitech? Or hold on, what is Logitech webcam C920? What's the C920? I know what this thing was worth pre-COVID. It was less than $100. See, this thing is it's still like way overpriced at $169. It's still like post-COVID price. Everyone still needs because everyone needs a webcam. Everyone needs to be at home. The price of webcams just shot up like a bottle rocket. And like this webcam is fine, but I want more higher quality. I want quality stream. I did a video a few weeks ago showing off my shelf. Yeah, exactly. We should all show off our shelves. You ever thought about doing donations and playing people's Merfolk decks? I already do. Well, I mean, I have like a tier on Patreon to do that, but it's very expensive. If you want me to play your Decklist, it's going to cost, I don't know, maybe I should bring down the value. It's like $50 and I'll play whatever the hell you want me to play. Maybe if it's a Merfolk deck, I should have it for less. I tell you what, when I go full-time streamer, If that ever happens, I can consider it. But right now, I'm like basically part-time streamer. So I have to be very careful how much time I spend on content that's not my own. $50 make me play Tron? I'd easily play Tron for $50. I might even do it for less. You can always use your smartphone as a... That's complicated. Because like it's more complicated than you would think. You can do that, but then I can't use my smartphone in the meantime. Okay, let's look at deck lists. I'm hungry for some deck lists. All right, we've got oops, I didn't submit anything. I just submitted nothing. My internet is so low right now. So slow, I'm guessing. Yeah, the internet in Brazil, I heard, is not the greatest. Okay, Jorgi Yarza's decklist has been chosen. It's a big block of words, so just gonna have to believe what I say. Format modern, just to look at some ideas on Millennial Jund with Lurrus as a companion. I really think it was the best version of Jund in a long time, but maybe it was because the first form of the companion rule was really broken. Very likely it was because the companion rule was broken. Also, I don't think... No, Uro existed, right? They all came at the same time. Okay, Jorgiarza, we got Croxa, Scavenging Ooze, Tarmogoyf, 2 Ren and 6, 3 Inquisition, 3 Thoughtseize, 1 Unearth, 3 Assassin's Trophy, 1 Fatal Push, Kolgan's Command, Lightning Bolt, Mishra's Bauble, Nihil Spellbomb, 2 Seal of Fire. So the deal is, I mean, I think this is, first off, list is fine. List is great. I think you got everything. Baron Moore? Oh yeah, that's fine. Raging Ravine. Nothing wrong here. Anger of the Gods, 2 Boil, 3 Collective Brutality. 3 Dark Confidant I think is a bit weird. I guess there are some matchups that would be really good in, like some particular combo decks where you need to just draw a bunch of cards. 1 Lurrus, 2 more Nihil Spellbomb, 3 Pillage. Here's the problem. How do we beat the Uro decks? I think that's the #1 problem with this this type of archetype. Because the value can get, like, when you they don't care that much about Seal of Fire. I guess if you can loop the Nihil Spellbomb, that would be pretty significant. That'd be pretty serious. But you're pretty far from doing that, especially game 1. Like, there's so many cards that the Uro deck just ignores. They don't care about Lightning Bolt, Kolgan's Command. They sort of care about Fatal Push, but not really. Ren and 6 doesn't do a whole lot. I guess Scavenging Ooze is probably the best card, but they might still have removal for this anyway. And like Croxa just sort of helps them. It's good, but is it great? Like, is it actually backbreaking? Does it just like completely end the game? Like, Uro decks don't have any answer to this. They do have answers to Scavenging Ooze. And it's clunky. It's not like you play Scavenging Ooze on turn 2 and it's over. No, you've got to start sinking some mana into it. And if they interact with Scavenging Ooze, then it's over for you. Maybe Cling to Dust main. You still have to deal with the future Uros. To be fair, Cling to Dust by itself is pretty good. But like, I think that's the main issue with Jund. Like, that's the main issue with Jund players, period, right now. They are having trouble against Uro decks. It's so much value. I spit everywhere, sorry. Even on my microphone. It's so much value from Uro decks that they can, and like so much of the deck just bricks, completely bricks on it. And the time that you take to like put Lurrus in your hand and put onto the battlefield, they don't care. They just don't. They just absolutely do not care. They gain an outrageous amount of life. Will this deck do very well against everything else? I think that's true. I think it's very true. I think actually this deck will do very, very well against the rest of the field. And by the way, you can take that approach to the metagame. You'd be like, you know what? I'm just going to ignore this one deck and I hope to just not play against it and hope everyone else beats it. But actually, I think Uro decks are so popular, especially at least at a competitive level, you might be able to dodge them in leagues. But in an open tournament, like you're gonna run into at least one or two of them right now. It's a really big deal. Ooh, made by Ali Warfield. So is there an article attached to this, or it's just the deck list? But I mean, the deck is great. I think the deck is great against everything else that isn't an Uro deck. Unless they can really clock them fast, like that's my deal with Jund. Scavenging Ooze is not a very good clock. It's actually a very poor clock. Tarmogoyf is a good clock. Scourge of the Skyclaves can be a good clock. This can be a good clock if you can get it online fast enough. Isn't Hexdrinker good against versus Uro decks? Why would it be? Just because it can get like protection from everything? Again, the cards like Hexdrinker, they suck up so much mana. Like if you want Hexdrinker online, then you have to like repeatedly put like tons of mana into this, which means you're not putting mana into other things. And then if they kill it at the right time, like you take it up to level 3 in response, I don't know, lightning bolt this, and you're like, or fatal push, and I'm like, well, I just wasted a bunch of tempo. That'd be a problem. It's too bad Luris makes it impossible to play Clothis. Yeah, that actually is a beating. I think Scavenging Ooze and Nihil Spellbomb make the deck not just a buy for the Uro deck. You're definitely going to have game. You're definitely going to have game. I just don't know. I think Nihil Spellbomb is really good. I actually think that, I mean, because this is like Relic of Progenitus power against them. And then if the graveyard is large enough, then you crack it. And that it buys you so much time. And you have more in the sideboard, which is good. Maybe you should just have 4. And you do have Boil. Boil is also relatively good in the matchup too. But like the crappy thing is like Tarmogoyf, like how big is this Tarmogoyf going to be? Let's say it's a 5/6. These Uro Omnath decks can go way over 30 life. So your clock is actually not that good. So whenever they gain a bunch of life, that's almost like card advantage in itself because they're going to get an extra draw step out of it. So anyway, that's the issue. That's the issue I think Jund faces right now against Uro decks that needs some more heavy hitting answers. But I mean, I think the list is clean. I think it's a good list. It's just going to do maybe the answer. Maybe we could just gut the. I don't know what Dark Confidant is for exactly, but maybe we can gut the Dark Confidant for more Uro interaction. Maybe that's enough. We just go all in on beating Uro post board. Anyway, thanks for the deck list. Those are just my thoughts. The deck list is great. Play the life gain prevention Tybalt. Tybalt, your time has come. You need to deal with all these life gain decks. All right, let's look at some more deck lists. I'm not. Oh man. I hope I don't blunder. Like I keep going deck review and I don't like I'm not using my command properly. Pioneer deck, no budget, looking to make it as good as possible. All right. Ooh, we have an Izzet deck. We have a I think, what is the sexiest color combinations in Magic? For me, I think it's Izzet. What is the? I think Izzet is a very sexy color combination. Okay, we got Bone Crusher Giant, okay, Bone Crusher Giant, Brazen Borrower, Flame Wake Phoenix. Oh yeah, this is Pioneer legal. Rekindling Phoenix, Elder Deep Fiend. I saw something like this prior to Theros Beyond Death getting printed. Chandra, Torch of Defiance, Lightning Axe, Stubborn Denial, Izzet Charm, Kozilek's Return. Yes, I saw this deck before. I don't know why I mean, like a lot of decks fell off the wagon when the inverter combo came around. 2 Island, 4 Mountain, 3 Mutavault. I don't remember Mutavault in the deck though. I guess you can get away with it at 25 lands. Sanctum of Ugin, Shivan Reef, Spirebluff Canal, Steam Vents, Sulphur Falls, Wandering Fumarole. Sideboard, more Lightning Axe, Red Cap Melee, Deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker. If a non-red permanent is dealt damage this way, you sacrifice a land. This is like a really bad, or how do we put it? It's like, what is the 1 damage? Deal 4 damage to a creature, but this one can deal damage to a planeswalker. If a non-red permanent is dealt damage this way, sacrificing land seems like a lot. Storm Denial, Wild Slash. This seems like, well, Ether Gust, Mystical Dispute, Dig Through Time. I don't know what to say. The main deck looks good, and the sideboard looks bizarre, but I've not been playing Pioneer enough to know that you need these cards. Like, Wild Slash is a pretty crappy card to have in the sideboard. The deck was in the Pioneer metagame before the Lotus Field and Inverter kind of fell off. I'm looking to bring it back. Well, Lotus Field is still around. So if you have some Lotus Field tech in here, like, for example, Damping Sphere, you probably still need some Damping Spheres right now. And I don't think it kills you. Flamewake Phoenix. I think you can do fine with Damping Sphere. You don't need to play multiple cards per turn. Like, just from a glance, it looks like your sideboard is weak. Like, what's Dig Through Time is for the control decks, just have card advantage. Do you even want to exile your graveyard all that much? Oh yeah, I guess it doesn't affect much. Just the Flamewake Phoenix is your only card that you want to bring back or keep in the graveyard. So when are they printing Pioneer Masters to add in Tron? I don't know. That would be the real killer of the format if they do that. This deck has an insane late game, so the sideboard is looking to get me to the late game. Okay, so my question is, in what matchups is Wild Slash good? Maybe, I guess, Spirits. There's enough 1 toughness creatures and Spirits that this might be good. I could buy that. I can definitely buy that. Can you afford losing a land with Red Cap melee? Also, it's Matador. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. That's very, very true. The deck is very good. The deck is very, very, very good. I'm just wondering if these things were worthwhile, why not have them in the main deck? You have Kozilek's Return. I mean, looking at the main, it is clunky. You have nothing to do on the earlier turns of the game. You have literally nothing. You do nothing on turn 1. You do nothing on turn 2 very often. Your game starts at turn 3. This might be too slow for Pioneer. What did the old decks look like? Okay, I have a good question, because I'm not super familiar with the Pioneer metagame right now. How many Mana Dork decks are there? Like, what I'm trying to say is maybe Wild Slash should be a main deck card over, say, maybe Kozilek's Return. Well, actually, sorry, you have, I apologize. You have actually a lot of things you can do at turn 2. I forgot about Bone Crusher Giant and Brazen Bar, where these are like very reasonable things to do on the earlier turns of the game. So I'm being stupid here. You have a lot of interaction at 2 mana. Or I would say you have sufficient interaction at 2 mana. Every green deck plays 8 dorks. Red Cap Melee. What is everyone talking about? Red Cap Melee. Is this in the deck? Oh, if you're playing with Flagstones of Trocaire. Because this is like a tempo negative card. Is anyone playing this in Pioneer right now? Aha. Hits Omnath. And it's red. Omnath is red, so you're actually not going to lose anything out of it. Okay, I can buy your argument. Is Dig Through Time for the control decks? This is like the best thing that you can do? Here's a good question. Let's refresh the Pioneer metagame. Oops. MTG Goldfish is not going to be perfect for this, but maybe it'll give me an idea. Okay, you have to beat Wilderness Reclamation. Holy shit, 15% of the metagame. Even if this is off, it's probably some indication that this deck is running really well right now. You have to beat Burn, you have to beat Niv to Light, Lotus combo, Orzhov Auras, Esper Control. It's actually a little bit more control-ish looking for the most part. Okay. So I totally understand why you're building the deck as you are, because it looks like for the most part, the metagame, at least the decks to beat, are more in the mid-range category. They're more on the top end, and the more aggro decks are on the lower end, or at least they're not the most successful decks. So I can understand all the smaller removal in the sideboard. I don't really have any good feedback unless someone else has some very strong opinions about what should be in the sideboard to beat Pioneer right now. What is this Wilderness Reclamation deck? Just an Uro deck? Holy crap, it's a modern deck, basically. Uro, Omnath, Teferi, Growth Spiral. There's really Wilderness... This is a modern deck. This is literally a modern deck in Pioneer. And the mana is not even going to be that bad. Because, well, I mean, you lose the fetch lands, I guess, which makes it harder for you to get a lot of value out of Omnath. Look at this. It's a modern deck. It's literally a modern deck. I can't tell the difference. Okay, Expansion and Explosion. That's basically the only difference. Everything else is like a modern card. Blast Zone. This is ridiculous. Well, one of you fuckers are getting banned, that's for sure. You're not long for this world. Pioneers become modern, you say. I am not surprised. Control is a very reasonable matchup because we have recursive threats and we can make sure to connect with EDF. Yeah. And if they hadn't banned Uro and Omnath, it would be literally a standard deck. Feels Pumpkin Man. A lot of cards in this deck can get banned. Oh, yeah. Like, Uro's going to get banned eventually. I mean, look at this. 15%. Even if this may not be accurate, there is like some truth to the percentages. At least I think it dictates what is running really well, what's winning the most frequently right now. It's not like 15% of the meta, but I would use these percentages to gauge like how many times people are winning with the deck. So it's like power level. This is like almost 2 times more effective than Burn. Just brushing up, and then this is the deck that you want all that early interaction, but you probably have enough in the main deck to like keep your head above water, and then you have a sufficient sideboard, I think, to deal with the rest of it. We are in the pinnacle of power creep so far, but Lotus Field's life. Lotus is still around at 7%. I mean, that would be my only advice. Like, what are the other decks doing against Lotus Field? Not caring, apparently. They're not, okay, Burn doesn't care. Slaughter Game, this deck is playing with Slaughter Games. Looks like they don't care either. What, no one wants to play Damping Sphere? I will admit, Damping Sphere is sort of a crappy answer. Maybe Soul Guide Lantern? Actually, how is Lotus Field being played right now? Lotus combo. Hold on, okay, my brother's here. Give me a second. Hello. Here. Come on. Chubby Meatball, you want to say hi? Come say hello, Chubby Meatball. Oh, Chubby Meatball, come on, come say hello to everybody. Oh, Chubby Meatball, don't run. Don't go. Don't go. Don't go, Chubby Meatball. Ugh, why aren't you like more relaxed like Salute is in this situation? Yeah, you want to be held? You're excited for something. What are you so excited for? Don't go. Don't go. Hug. Oh, okay. Do whatever you want. I gotta have something set up so that the cats can be part of the stream. Okay, let's get back here. What are people doing for? Okay, Alpine Moon, I guess. Hold on, no, wait a minute. This is the actual Lotus combo. Okay, I just want to know what do they ban? Oh. Alright, come in. It's the first time it's ever been locked. Sort of. It's not the way I planned it, but this is the way it ended up being. So for anyone playing the format right now, how on earth are people beating the Lotus combo deck? Trying to look at their main cards right now. Just counter spells? They don't have. I can't remember what's banned. I guess they banned the breach card. So the breach card. So the graveyard isn't as relevant. Like it's relevant a little bit for dig through time, I guess. I guess you just beat it with counter spells. Counter spells help. Dispute is really strong versus Pour of the Pages. Okay, so maybe so like if we get back to the Emerge deck, then I have really nothing to add. Mystical Dispute, Stubborn Denials probably is enough for you, and if maybe Dig Through Time is enough. Otherwise, you could replace some Dig Through Times with more counter spells. I would have to really play the deck to know, what are the nuances that have to change. But 75 actually looks really, really good. The deck was very, very good prior to like the combo coming of there's like 3 combo decks, right? Lotus Breach, Inverter, and the Heliod combo. And now it very much likely can come back. I have a feeling after like Wizards brings Pioneer back like into the spotlight, that we are going to see decks like this actually come back into prominence, because people are going to be like playtesting Pioneer, looking for like niche decks that do well in the metagame. And I most definitely believe that this deck has a lot of card advantage, a lot of staying power, a lot of resistance to a lot of removal. Very powerful things like Elder Deep Fiend, Flash, you emerge it. When you cast it, tap up to 4 target permanents. Very strong effect. Wouldn't Deafening Silence work versus Lotus combo? Don't remember what that is. Was that like 1 spell a turn? Silence. I think the deal with Lotus combo is they bring in a lot of artifact and enchantment hate. Each player can't cast more than 1 non-creature spell each turn. Like they're going to bring in a lot of answers for this. I mean, sure, you could play it if you want, but also this is not. That's a white card. This is a blue-red deck. Breachless Breach was a deck before Theros, and it continues to be a deck afterwards. You're welcome, Cool Colin, and good luck with the deck. Good luck. Get in those results. Go get people. I can see some awkwardness in the deck still, because I totally understand why you want all this early game interaction. You can't have both. It seems like the metagame is like really fast or really slow and mid-rangey, like really polarized, so it's hard to build a deck for both metagames. I think this is okay, though. I think this is okay. Pending the situation, maybe you can move some of these like Abrades or something else into the main, and I don't know, switch out some Kozilek's returns or something like that. I'm not entirely sure, but for the most part, I think the list is solid. Solid list. Okay, so my brother's here. We're gonna get into our stream. I don't even know what I'm gonna play. I have no idea what I'm going to play. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I'm going to play like Cryptic Command or something. So thank you very much, everyone who showed up. If you, oh, by the way, if I didn't get to your comments or questions or your deck list, we do this Monday to Friday at twitch.tv/Nikachu MTG. Monday to Friday, 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. So don't forget, you can always show up, and eventually you're going to get your questions and also your deck list reviewed. I like that you help other players. All the pros see. Pros don't help. They just ask for help when they play and stream. Oh, well, I mean, I get both ways. I get help even when I'm not even asking for it. Always also been thinking, hey, try it out. If you need to try it out, just play test online and you'll get there. Also, shout out to the Bawa who subscribed with Prime 2 days ago. I was not streaming or anything 2 days ago, so it was a subscription off screen. So thank you very much, Bawa. And you can of course always support the channel by supporting on Patreon, or subscribing with Amazon Prime. It's a free way of supporting the channel. But what? THEBAWA. Anyway, so thank you very much, everyone, for showing up. We're going to stream some Merfolk gameplay after this, but for everyone on YouTube, that's going to be it for today. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you at the next cup. Take care, and see you next time.